Hello everyone, this is Will from Apple 121. Today is going to be a video discussing Finder. If you're using macOS Tahoe, we're going to go over the Finder window and kind of go through some of the features that you could do in it. This is going to be a very free floating video. I really don't have a structure behind this, but really just going through Finder, how to organize stuff, how to do things inside of Finder that'll make your life a lot easier as far as navigating this as well. And a lot of the changes you're going to see here will also reflect on all your other devices. Remember, if you have an iCloud account and you're storing some items in iCloud, they will also reflect on other devices. So it's important that you go through and see what you're doing here, because in other devices you could get the same results. So how we're going to do this is really just navigating just some features within the window of Finder and how you organize this, the left side right here, how to go through your files and things like that. Very basic stuff for our users that you may not use every day, but you may have an opportunity to take advantage of it. Let's talk about the toolbar that's up here. So this toolbar is already set up a certain way for you. And the first thing is all about navigation. It's all about just navigating through all your files and how you want to look at them. How do you want to view them? So you change based on where you go. And by the way, when you're changing in one area, you're changing it in that one spot. So you can view desktop one way, but you can view downloads a different way, or you can view documents a different way. So you have different kind of like layouts that you could do. And as you can see, it's maintaining that layout. So every time that you're going somewhere and you're changing the view of how you want to show items, that is what it'll stay as until you change it again. So that's just the navigation area. And then over here, you're talking about grouping. So the idea of grouping is organizing files based on a certain criteria. So you're going to, as example, let's go to our documents folder. This is the way documents looks. I want to do it in a list mode. And then you have here where you can organize it based on a certain criteria. So let's say I want to do it by the date that I added it. So now it's organizing things based on date added. So we're going to the most recent stuff down to the oldest stuff here on the bottom. And then I can go here again and change it by application. What application opens up what? Not really valuable in this particular one, but as you can see, it tells you, hey, Adobe Photoshop, music, other. So that doesn't find very useful for me. But I will tell you that most of the time I go by date added or date modified. Is normally the way I do it. So date added always, as you can see, it's changing everything up here. If you see, it says October, September. Also, you can just click on these items right here too. You can go up and down and you can say, I want to organize it by size. I want to organize it by date modified. You have another way to organize this particular field. So if it's date added, I want to go then by size. And then now it's organized based on size. So you can see in 2022, this folder, when it was created, is now here, and that's the biggest size folder. And as I go down, you can see the organizations based on size. But you're going to change your mind as you go through the groupings here. And then they all change based on certain things. So if I go by kind, now we're doing everything by folder, images, documents. So there's so many different ways to organize your items here. And again, every view will be different depending on what you do. So it will change everything based on that. Now, share is a very common thing we see on all of our devices. So share will simply allow you to share your items to certain apps, to copy them, to use extensions if you have them. Also, since this one is in iCloud, I have the ability to collaborate and share to other people. You can also add it to a reading list. Why would you do that? I don't know. Maybe you want to do that. So there's a share button right here, but if there's an item that's not inside of iCloud, just so you can see I have a video here, and I go here, the items now change because I don't have that share feature, but it has a lot of other things I can do. Even if it's a video, it understands that you can move it to photos. So depending on the file type, it does change. So if I have this PDF right here and I go to share, as you can see, the photos feature is not here anymore, but I have Dropbox transfer. So it all depends on the icon of what it is. Whatever the file kind is, this can change based on that. You have these three dots, which give you your right-click options. So anytime you're right-clicking, I have that set up for my trackpad where I use 2 fingers to right-click, or I have a mouse right now, which is what I'm using. You have all those different things you could do within here. Now, there's obviously a lot of videos that can explain all that. And then here's Dropbox. Because I have Dropbox installed, there is a feature of Dropbox built in here, but this toolbar can change as well. So if you right click somewhere on the bar, there is a feature called icon and text. And if I do that, it now actually will tell you what those buttons actually do. It might be helpful for people new to Mac that would be able to benefit from this. I actually like having what they are there all the time. And then if you go to Customize Toolbar, well, now I can actually change things around. I can move things around and organize it. So for example, if I would like to have a search bar somewhere, I could do that. Boom. And now it puts the search right here on this side. And now I have the search right up here. So I can quickly just go to it. I'm going to right click again. Let's go to Customize Toolbar. Now you can set up the default setup right here, or you could make changes here. So for example, let's say I wanted to get info of a file. I could drag that right here, and now it puts it right there. I can even add a space, which will almost like separate a little bit there. It almost puts like a line in between there, so it separates it. We have connect, so that if you want to connect to a server, you have a button right there. You have an iCloud. You could share the item using the iCloud drive. So if I click this and move it up here, we'll see what the changes are. And there's even AirDrop, which I always love using. So now I've added a bunch of things to my toolbar. So if I go to one of our videos that we did on Black Friday, I go to AirDrop, and then now I can click on something on the screen. So I'm going to turn on my iPhone right now, and my iPhone now pops up, and I can AirDrop it right there, just from the click of a button. Normally, what you kind of do is you kind of drag it to AirDrop. Now I have a button here. I can just click it. It actually just made my life much easier. So that is the toolbar. That is just going through and making changes here on the toolbar. Some other items that I have here on the bottom, you may not have down here, and the way I do that is under View. View lets me do a couple different things, and the things I'm doing is the path bar and the status bar down here. So if I hide the path bar, you can now see that that path bar has been removed. If I go down to status, now I lost my information about how much storage I have. So I'm going to go back to View, and I'm going to turn on Show Path Bar and View and Show Status Bar. And now I have those back. I can also, because I'm in the view of icons, I could drag this slider to make it bigger or smaller down here on the bottom. Another thing you'll notice on the bottom right corner, if you have this info pane right here, is that you could do things to those items. So every item has some differences, things that you could do. So for example, if you have an audio file right here, and there's a feature called trim, and with a quick tool, I can actually make changes to that file. So for example, trim is all about just making the file smaller. So now I can just drag a slider and mess around with this file, and I don't even have to open it. So that's a really cool feature to have. Even with PDFs, you could do a markup right here, and you can mark up the file. So you can rotate a file. You can move it left, right. So you can see I can just quickly do that without having to do that. And again, you can see the modification date has been adjusted because I made a change. The left side is all about organizing, how we can navigate around Finder and find things that we can easily get to without having to search for it. Now, before we get started, I'm going to go over the Finder settings sidebar feature here, because this is where a lot of this comes from. How you get to this is going under Finder, Settings, and then you can open up the sidebar area. So by default, some things may not be checked off, some things might be turned on. So you can go through right now and just uncheck the ones you want. So instead of dragging one at a time, you can actually uncheck them right here. So if I don't want the picture section to be available, I can just uncheck it, and now you can see on the left side it went away. Same thing for external devices, same thing for hard drives. You have all these different items. Trash if you don't want to have it here, tags if you don't want them here. You can go in here in this section and just remove them. So as I navigate down the page, I'm not going to go over what they are. It's really just the idea of what you can do with them. But you can right click. You can also remove them from the sidebar. And because, as an example, this is an iCloud folder, I can actually download everything in that folder right here when I right click on it. You also have a feature called Add to Dock. So if there is something that you want to add to the dock on the bottom right corner, you can do that. So for example, if I have this Russell profile here, and I go and I want to add to dock, on the bottom now, there is a Russell profile. So if I click on the folder, it has all the items in here. If there's a folder you want to have over here as a separate area, all you got to do is just drag the file, and then you can see that there's two different things that happen. Either one, you're putting it over something, which will then put it into that folder, or two, you could have this line, and the line means that it's going to place it here. And if I let go of it, there it is. And now it is here as a folder. Something new in macOS Tahoe is you can actually do something to these folders that are very unique. For example, I can actually color these folders, which is a new feature that I've not done enough of, but I want to show you an example of it. So inside my documents folder, the finished wedding projects, as you notice, is red, and it has a little heart on it because those are my wedding items on here. So that's what this folder represents, and that's why I have it in a certain color. It actually makes it stand out a lot more. And this is a new feature they added, and I'm going to do that now to one of my folders. So for my car repairs, I'm going to actually do some changes to this folder. Now I'm going to go to Action, and I'm going to go to Customize Folder. So now that I have the Customize folder open, I have two things I can do. One is I can add a tag. The second thing is I can add some kind of an emoji that'll represent the folder. So first off, with tags, you may have not messed with these yet, but basically they're a way to color code things for certain reasons. So right now I have like some basic ones up here, but I want to create my own for this one. Because if I have house repairs, car repairs, I want to be able to do the same thing. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to go to Edit Tags. Now, I have a bunch of tags already here, but I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it Repairs. And Repairs is going to be created with a red icon on here. Oops, not that one. And now it is turned red. And that will now assign the folder with a red color. If I go back to the Action Customize folder, I can also go through and add an emoji. Now I can scroll through this way, but I can also just go to emoji, car, and I'll make it a blue color. And now that is done. So now this folder will stand out a little bit more because it has the red icon on it. Now if I go to house, as an example, house items work, I could do this to the same thing. So I'll go to Action, Customize folder, and I can look for the tag. I can hit the plus sign, Repairs. So now that adds a red to it. And then I can go to Emoji, House. Spelling's important, everybody. All right, here's the house. And that's it. So now I have car repairs. I have housework items. And then on the left side is tags. So if I go to repairs, now I have the housework items and the car repairs in the same folder. So it's a good way to organize your stuff. Tags are extremely important. They could do some really nice things in here. In fact, you can also get rid of tags. Like if I don't need a red tag, it doesn't delete the items, by the way. It's just deleting the tag itself. What I would do with tags is you organize stuff based on what kind of works together. It's really to kind of navigate in the Finder. You want to go through here and try to organize this. And once you do it once, you're kind of done. But then as you grow over time, as you become a Mac user for a longer period of time, this will change and go around. You can see like all the stuff that we do for all the videos that we've done, even though it's under the Think Different Podcast, our older name, but we have everything here that we made in our history here. It's just a quick way to navigate the stuff. That's Finder in macOS Tahoe. There are definitely so many different things that we didn't talk about, including all the items up here in the window. We didn't talk about those things. All the right-click options, including services, which is something that is very unique that eventually we can get into if someone's interested in it. That is just to help you navigate through this area. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about this, and let me know if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you want us to do in the future with a video. Thank you very much, everyone, and I love every single one of you.